Hey guys, just doing a quick video on tapping. Tapping out a bolt that's broken off inside of, if you look inside there, just tapping that out, tapping it out and how to tap it out, how to get it out. I did a bolt extraction video. In a lot of cases, a bolt extraction, to do bolt extracting doesn't work sometimes because it's really cooked in there. So I'm just going to give a quick rundown on how to, this one was solid, it was like right solid. There was a bolt that broke off. I drilled it out. I'll just give you a quick rundown on how I did that. That's the clean side and that's how it looks if you look in there. That's what I'm trying to get to, and that's what I'm trying to do on this side. I already started, mine's not as clean, but it's going to work. So I'm just going to put this in the vise here and show you how to, just the basic of how to do it. What I did was I just took a bunch of drill bits from small to big. Now this one, I measured it to the other side that I just showed you, the clean side, and I measured it and I put it inside there like that on the other side, and I just made sure it was nice and loose and wasn't rubbing against the threads, so that when I drill this one out, I still have room to tap it out to make my threads so that it's the same size of the bolt that I'm trying to get in there. Or you could make it bigger if you wish to do that too and use a bigger bolt. It's up to you. So yeah, how I started was, this was solid. Sorry I didn't show you how I did all that, but it's kind of senseless to go through all of it and show you. I started out with a small drill bit. You could go smaller. Went down the center, went nice and straight, drilled it out all the way through until it stopped, or until I figured it was deep enough. I measured it to the other side to make sure I was how deep I was. So you start with a small one, just drill it out nice and centered, nice, and take your time. Use, and oil. You got to use oil when you're doing this, when you're drilling and stuff like that. Just take your bit and dip it in some oil, if you have some oil in a cap or something like that. Drill it out the center nice and straight as you can, and then proceed on to larger bits as you're going. And you keep drilling it out nice and centered. Next bit, next bit, next bit, and so forth until you get to the last bit, which will fit inside there. And will go in there nice, and then you still have room for threads. Then you take a tap like this, part of a tap and die set. There's videos on tapping and dyeing on the internet too, if you want to really check them out and see how they do it. But then you get this started and you twist it in there till it's hand tight, until you can get it semi-tight like that. Then you take that tap wrench, whatever you want to call it, I don't know what it's called. I just call it a tap wrench. There's no sense in knowing what everything is and wasting your brain space on stuff like that. You just know the use for it. Because if you're wasting brain space, you're no good for learning other stuff. But anyway, it goes like that. Again, use oil. You got to put some oil in there. And then as you're working it, you slowly get it to turn in there. And when it gets too tight, you just give it a little turn, turn it back and work it. And keep working it until you're nice. You could hear little cracks of metal in there as you turn. And you turn it nice and slow. Try not to bust off that. If you work it too hard, too fast, you'll bust off the tip of your tap and it'll be stuck in there and you'll have a hell of a time getting it out. Be nice and slow, make sure it's nice and even, make sure this is to the size of your bolt that you're trying to tap out, or you're trying to get in there. If the hole's too small for your tap, you'll have a really hard time, it'll bust off. You could start with a smaller tap and work your way up. And then, yeah, and if you slowly do it, you go forward a bit, get it to make a little crack or whatever, and then pull it back, and do it again and keep doing it. Sorry, my video recording is not that great, but you keep working it in there. Nice and slow with some oil. And then after you do it for a while, after you do it a few turns or whatever, if you can get a few turns out of it, and a little bit deeper, you pull this out. Pull it out. Take your piece out and clean it as you're doing it. You just tap it out and then blow it out with something, with some air, and then keep working it. And as you could see, I'm starting to make threads in there. And that should work out nice. It's worked out for me like 9 times out of 10. Just kidding, 10 times out of 10. But yeah, it works really nice when you do it right and you take your time doing it. You start small, go big, and then to the right proper size. And that's the non-technical way to do it, I guess, or the technical way to do it, the scientific way to do it. But some people say, oh, that's not how you do it. But in real life, it's like you get shit done like that. Thanks for watching. Like and subscribe.